topic, whose fault is it? It is not a very easy topic to talk as a scientist, because I speak mainly usually to facts. And this one will speak more to your mental and to your emotional status in relation to fertility. So when we talk about fault, I looked at definitions of what is fault. It's a mistake. Some dictionary says it's a mistake, something for which you are to blame, a weakness, a failing, a defect, an imperfection, a flaw, an error caused by ignorance, a bad judgment or inattention, a bad quality of someone's character, a weakness in character. It has negative connotation. It says that there is a black and white phenomenon that seeks to apportion blame. So, but how can we say that when we work with infertility, which according to WHO is a disease of the reproductive system? So how can you have blame in relation to a disease? It says, as Dr. Tebogo has already told you, 1 in 6 couples of reproductive age will experience infertility. So how can there be someone to blame for a disease? Blaming then becomes shaming others. It offers an artificial solution to a complex problem. And you and I can agree, if you've walked the journey of infertility, that it is definitely a complex problem. Blame results in judgment, in anger, in fear, in punishment of each other sometimes, or even of self. And it also results in self-righteousness. So how did we get here? How did we get to talk about who is to blame? When things don't go our way, we look for who to blame. We say, whose fault is it? So are we blamers? So I looked at this lady, Dr. Brown. She did a research and she was telling a story of a situation where she woke up in the morning, she made herself a cup of coffee, and the coffee fell down. And the first person that she thought of was, how could my husband do this? The husband is not in the room, he didn't make the coffee, he's got nothing to do with it. But it is a blaming of someone else. It gives semblance of control. It's a form of discharging of discomfort or pain. Usually when we go through fertility, there is discomfort, there is pain. At this time, this person that has just dropped a cup, they are really angry, there's something, so they want an outlet. And so instead of actually looking at, oh, the coffee is spilled, the first person they think about is the husband. And unfortunately, usually with fertility, it usually is like that. You did not come with me to the consultation. You didn't inject me. You were not. You all know about it. It's an inverse to accountability. And accountability calls for vulnerability. It is a corrosive concept. And we miss the opportunity for empathy if we focus on blaming. So let's look at different scenarios in our fertility journey of how we find ourselves looking for apportioning blame, how we look to discharge this discomfort or pain, but that is caused by loss of control. Because most of the time, even us, we can only give you the statistics as doctor gave you, up to 40% is the chance that we can give you. We are also not God. We cannot create human beings. What you give us is what we will give you back. So blamers would rather say it is my fault rather than say it is no one's fault. So at most, there's always somebody that is to blame. So how did we get here? Let's look at couple situation. Between the couples, they will be saying, is it the female's fault? Is it the male's fault? This can cause a lot of strife within the couple. And usually it is not as clear as like that, black or white. And we see this with females consulting on their own. They undergo all the tests, everything, because you're sort of told, go and search, it is you, you know? And only if we find that there is nothing wrong with you, will we then go and the husband will go and consult. That already is apportioning blame. And it's already saying it is your fault, you know? When we make love, you stand up too quickly, you know? Where after we have done it, you are wiping, you know? And why did you go and pee? That kind of thing, you know? So really now, and males are saying that they are finding it difficult to talk about this. And as a result of that, they live longer with disease states because they do not seek attention. They are embarrassed. They say that there are no safe spaces for them to discuss. This is one of the outcomes that were found in one of the ESHRE conferences. There are no platforms according to them, and they are embarrassed. This may be a form of emanating from toxic masculinity, and this leads to mental health problems. It may lead to a relationship fallout. So it is important to seek a clinic that will encourage that you come together, that will give you a safe space to go together as a couple, that will give you personalized care, treatment, that the clinic that says, we see you. And it is important that as a couple, you have accountability conversation, which focuses on systems, not on people. It focuses on problem instead of an individual. It is based on outcome instead of punishment, and it should lead to a learning process. So as a couple, it is not your fault, it is not my fault, it is we are dealing with this situation and how can we deal with it best. It may be from an individual base. Unfortunately, we sit in a situation where there is emancipation of women, and as a result of that, women wait until late, and they are watching, they are going on with their career, they are watching their figures, they want to travel the world and whatever it is, and indeed the biological clock ticks. And you get to a point where now you decide that, okay, I have managed to get everything that I wanted, I am ready to have children. By then we know that at 40, your fertility has reduced by 50% and your miscarriage rate has increased by 50%. So you are sitting in this time where it is the best time for you to have children, but it is actually not the best time according to your body. And for whatever reason, you neglected this reproduction. So you did not want to settle for less. And you didn't just want to have children with any Tom, Dick, and Harry. There's nothing wrong with that. We also know that statistically, I looked at the stats, and the Stat SA, the last census that was done is 2021, was saying there's 97 men to women. So that means that 3 women will always stay without anyone, even if we were to pair 1 for 1 like that. So, and we know that of the 97, some of them are gay, some of them are in jail, and some of them are just, are clueless. So as a result of that, the number actually drops even more. And so we don't even have that true 97 to 100, because if you now have 2 men that are deciding to stick together, that woman will not have a partner. But of course, it does not necessarily mean that those 2 male, but even if they only decide to reproduce as a gay couple, it will only be 1 set of sperm. So that means that some woman out there will lose out on another set of sperm to be able to use as a partner. So these are some of the things that actually contribute to the fact that an individual may find themselves having waited until long. It may be because of lifestyle, you've been smoking, obesity, you are underweight, you've been training to run the Comrades Marathon, and we know that it's got negative effects. And this may lead to self-blame. It may lead to self-loathing. And as a result of that, this person will then present with anger. They may have envy, jealousy, mental disease, depression, and this all stems from mea culpa, mea culpa. And it is what it is. At that time when the reproductive age was there, you were not in the right place to have a baby, and it is what it is. Judgment and criticism make it difficult to see clearly, and you cannot work constructively when you have anger. Walk the journey, take responsibility, have grace for yourself, and you are where you are. It is what it is. It doesn't help to blame. Yes, there are all these reasons that I'm talking about, but when you find yourself in that situation, the solution is not necessarily to be looking at why didn't I, why. You cannot go back to that time. And fortunately for younger people, we can tell them that if there's no person at this time, if you are still seeking to see the world and to grow your career, you can freeze your eggs. But I've also seen people that have told that you can freeze your eggs. It goes in here, it goes out the other ear, and then when they at 40 they come and they say, "Can I have kids?" And they're like, "Oh my word, I regret you told me this and I didn't do anything about it." But having said that, I know you've seen the story of this actress, some famous person who actually went and froze their eggs, and they still did not have children. So freezing kids is just buying insurance. It is not a guarantee. Freezing eggs does not equal to you are going to have children. It is buying insurance. It's the same thing. You buy an insurance, you may or may not be involved in an accident. And if you don't get involved in an accident, First for Women gets two benefits, and they get them. Okay? Is it media's fault? We live in a time of information explosion, and we sit with the problems of Dr. Google, where people come with all this information, all these questions that are not evidence-based. They come and they say, no, now we hear that there's natural killer cells. Do you want me to check? Now we hear that we can inject something in my ovaries and you can rejuvenate. They say that there's stem cells that can do this and that. There's tests, there's treatments, there's add-ons, there's all sorts of things that are out there in the media. And this leads to misinformation. It leads to wrong expectations. But in the same breath, media can be used to educate if it is used correctly, if you go to the right platforms, if you are especially like a website of reproductive clinics, because we hold each other accountable in the form of SASREC, in the form of centers of excellence, where we can hold each other accountable, that you cannot put information out there that is not evidence-based. So use media to equip yourself. But can we say that media is to blame? Maybe we can say that, but remember I'm saying that no one is to blame. We look for solutions, we do not look for who is to blame, because that will not help the mental space that you will be in. Sometimes it's the community. Outsiders will look and define the life of an individual according to their own lenses. So people will always give you advice according to what they went through. Somebody will say, I had children too early, I didn't have the money, I struggled to wait a little bit. Somebody else will say, I waited too long, I didn't have kids, have your children too early. There's no such a thing as one size fits all. So outsiders will always look and define their life within the fertility expectation. You have been married for so many years, and why don't you have children yet? You have a car, you have a house, you have everything. Why have you not married yet? Be it a woman or be it a man, without actually looking. And this is actually encroaching on your boundaries, because people should not be defining to you what it is that you are supposed to do. And as a result of that, community then puts pressure on you. So, which is not necessarily, like the family can tell you that you just have a child, we will raise the child for you. And then at the age of 5, the parents die. You are still left with a child that they promise that they are going to raise with you. And really, do we want to raise a community of fatherless children? But look, it is your right. But don't do it because the community is actually putting this pressure on you. The churches will say, look, madam, you were married, it's been a year, what's going on? Families, peers will want you to have kids because their children need somebody to play with. So if they come to visit you, their children need a friend as well, In-laws will be looking at, look, lobola has been paid. If you are paying lobola, they want to see the outcome of that without actually looking at what are your goals. I'm to blame too. I'm a mother-in-law, and my daughter is 32, and she has no intention of wanting to have children at this stage. And, I must control myself. So I put myself in that bucket of blame. Can it be a funder's fault? We know about the economic climate that we are in right now. And we know that in this country, we only have 2 medical aids that are funding. It is the beginning, it's better than nothing. And the offerings that they are having at the moment is also just for high-end options. It is a start. And this is a lot of work that was done by SASREC, that we got to that point that somebody is funding. We're coming from a point where nobody was funding at all. And slowly, we believe that as success rates are these pilot medical aids that have been prepared to put their foot forward and say that we will fund as it is seen to work, hopefully other medical aids will come in. Because if infertility is a disease, why can't they pay for it? If you look at cancer treatment, one chemo cycle is 40,000 rand. And if you look at the IVF treatment, it's like 12,000 rand just for treatment. So why can't they treat it the same way? Because if it is a disease, it should be a disease that is treated by the same way. There's very few government facilities that are prepared or that are equipped to deal with this. Even with these government facilities, some of the services the clients have to pay for themselves, because these universities have decided they are going to train and they will give the service whether or not the government is saying that they are prepared to fund. So these are the problems that we have. Pharma is also a problem. The prices are too high. Right now we are sitting with unavailability of drugs that will also push up the prices. We blame it on COVID, we blame it on the war in Ukraine, we blame it on the Russians, just blame it on someone. But you have advocacy groups that are going out to negotiate the benefits for clients, and it is good to be involved in these advocacy groups, because the health professional will talk on your behalf, but it is good if the people who are involved are also united and they go and talk about this. And remember, blaming is expensive, because as you blame, you are hopping from this to that without actually looking at the solution. Among health professionals, could you be blaming the doctors? Most people, if they don't fall pregnant, they will come and ask you, doctor, what happened? What happened? You said the embryo was beautiful. You said my endometrium was fine. Why didn't I fall pregnant? You know? And they will say, no, the laboratory. I think that gentleman, the way he called me, I think the sister, I suspect that the way she, you know, it is always somebody to blame. So you are looking for what it is. And I think as fertility clinics, we also have to manage your expectations, because this will help you to avoid blaming. That indeed, we are looking at a percentage of about 40%, and if you understand, that means that there's a 60% chance that it may not work. So I always tell clients that the first cycle, second cycle, third cycle, we keep going on like that, and your chances of success may increase as we go on with the cycle. So it doesn't mean that if the first time it didn't work, you may be one of the 60% that did not succeed. But it may also be truly because you went to the wrong place. You got diagnosed you were misdiagnosed. It may also be because you went to be operated at the wrong center. Your endometriosis was operated by somebody who is not an endometriosis specialist. It may be because you went to somebody who did too many operations for cysts, and as a result of that, your ovarian reserve drops. It may be because you stuck in the wrong places and you were referred late. And this may actually lead to the problem that because you are sitting at wrong levels, as a result of that, there may be a delay and there may be a problem that goes on with your health status. And this may lead to clinic hopping, because you are now blaming, is it from this clinic, is it that clinic, is it that, but you are sitting at the wrong place. It leads to you double guessing your professionals, looking for validation elsewhere. You tell the client that they should inject, they call you and they say, no, I've checked, are you sure I should inject? Like, who is the doctor, who is the patient here? Blaming is costly, because if you've started your cycle there and you hop to another place, you go and do a little bit there, you go and look and do a little bit there. If you stick with that professional, they know what they are doing, especially if you stay in a SASRAC accredited clinic where people have been trained, they know what they are doing, they most probably will be giving you the information. And blaming can slow information flow and reduce innovation, especially amongst ourselves. We also, like, if the pregnancy did not happen, I'll ask the embryologist what happened, because she is young, she is this, she is that. But having said that, we operate on evidence-based medicine. We don't look at what did you do wrong. We look at the performance of the clinic against the KPIs. We have SOPs that we use. Did we keep onto the SOPs? If there's anything that is outside of what we expected, we always go back. We do analysis of the problem, not of the person, because then it goes to a blaming situation. Within the laboratory, there's guidelines that tell how is the laboratory supposed to operate. We look at where there are deviations of what the standard is. And the Department of Health talks about a competent person. So we look at the training of the person and all that. Communication of success rate is key. And with health professionals, it may lead to strife, but we always desire to make sure that we give you what is right within the ambit of the law and best practice. So in the society, we want a perfect society, and that is very problematic. We want everything to go in a straight line. We want to have a perfect gender balance for the family, so we request for gender selection. We want a genetically perfect offspring, so we go for eugenetics. We want designer babies, tall, dark, and handsome, blue eye, high IQ, no mental disease, superhumans. So this means that we are frowning upon diversity. We frown upon disability. We're saying that we do not accept the children that are coming with defects, So as a result of that, we are looking and seeking for ways in which we can actually come up with this perfect human being. And we know that diversity is what makes us to be a rich people. So we should learn that we should be able to coexist. But having said that, you are now this couple that is paying a whole lot of money. You want us to do PGT, you want us to check if the genetics are fine, you want also, doctor, while you are looking there, can we make sure that it is a boy or it is a girl? We've got too many. Can we make sure that there's also no mental disease in this child? And you know, and this actually, we should use this in the form of balancing treatment, in the balance of parental and autonomy, because we cannot have these selfish ways of trying to make sure that we have a perfect environment, because that is problematic. So from the Genesis family, we discussed about this, and one of my directors, Dr. Abri, was said to tell you the message that it is nobody's fault. It depends on the eggs and sperm and the quality of embryos. And remember that the second or third IVF cycle may yield different results. Dr. Dries Prokito said, your partner does not love you less because of your infertility. Although it may feel like it, it probably is just as hard for them. You are not in this journey alone. So in Genesis, we then would offer you a holistic approach to support this journey. We include nurses, embryologists, psychologists who's going to talk to you about this, legal teams, and we also offer a safe environment where you feel that you can be supported. We've got a next support group that is coming up on the 14th of November, where it is a safe environment for couples to talk about their problems without any blames. So we need to refocus. Infertility is a disease. No one is at fault. We need to forgive and let go. We must cleanse our minds, stop the blaming game, focus on solutions, accountability and responsibility. Focus on the problem, work together, look forward to the solution. No one is at fault, but everybody is responsible. We need to build trust among all these stakeholders that I've spoken about. Blaming leads to high level of stress, and stress may reduce your success rate of fertility. Accountability focus on solution, and sometimes it is what it is. There is no such a thing as one size fits all. Thank you very much.